Hello everybody, I'm Novi, and I'm here to ask you a question. Are the Blackpool Combat Club a heel or babyface? Not just as individuals, but as a group. Well, no matter what answer you picked, you'd be right, because they're both at the exact same time. And I think that may just be a problem, not just with the BCC, but with AEW as a whole. So today, I want to dive into all of that and answer the question, does AEW have a babyface problem? We're also going to talk about heels in this video, but we can't include both in the title because the YouTube algorithm would not like that, so I just want to let you know beforehand, we're doing both. Before we get into it though, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for videos every single Saturday talking graps. First, let's start with the issues I have with babyfaces in AEW. To put it simply, I just don't think that there's enough of them. I was even gonna name this video AEW needs more pure babyfaces at one point before changing it. You have your Daniel Garcias, Kenny Omegas, Eddie Kingstons, of course you do, you're always gonna have those guys. But then you think about all the people who get cheered when they aren't supposed to, like Swerve Strickland types. Swerve is a bad guy who does bad shit, but fans cheer him because he rules. So what you end up with is a tweener who kind of acts in both lanes and doesn't really choose one or the other, which in turn never makes anyone a pure babyface like I mentioned, akin to Hangman Page in 2021. Having that kind of wrestler that's as over as he was means the world to wrestling promotions, and we see that through Cody Rhodes and what he's done for the WWE. He's the heart and soul of that promotion, the hero of that company, and fans come out just for him. If he announces he's going to be on one of their house shows, the place sells out immediately. That's not something you can deny. And AEW just hasn't had that since Hangman Page, and I think that's kind of what's hurting their business quite a bit. MJF tried to go for it, and he actually got kind of close in terms of just crowd love, but he was nowhere near as universally loved as Hangman Adam Page was both online and in person. There's no one that's even come close. I think one reason why AEW can't find this person either is because they struggle to choose one way or the other with a lot of their talent. For example, let's take a look at the Toni Storm and Deonna Purrazzo match at Revolution that was not very good to say the least. I was there, I can admit it, but I don't think that it was because the work was bad. I think it was just because they chose the wrong roles for both the women. Timeless Toni Storm is a very funny character. She does and says the funniest things on the show a lot of the time. But when she works matches, she works heel for the heat and control segments, and it just doesn't work because fans don't want to boo her. They like her too much. On the flip side of that Revolution match, Deonna Purrazzo is a full-blown heel. You see that as soon as you look at her. But they tried to make her the good guy for fans to root for, to overthrow Toni, but fans just don't want that. They like Toni. They don't want to root for someone to overthrow her. At least people in the live crowds don't. Because people like me, hey, we think differently. It just comes down to AEW not structuring their characters and their matches around what fans in the arena actually want and what they want to do. It's not like the old AEW anymore, where fans would play along with all the heels. They would boo them no matter what, even if they liked them, just to be a part of it. Unless you're Christian Cage, that is. Now they're a lot more reactive and will boo and cheer based on what they see on TV. So you just have to portray the people you want to be babyfaces as babyfaces through and through, and you have to see that in their matches because that's the only way fans are going to get behind them. I think another thing that AEW does is that they just wait too long to capitalize on their hot face acts. If you've watched AEW for long enough, it's clear that Tony Khan is very strict when it comes to sticking to his plans. If he has an idea for who people lose championships to or who they even lose matches to, most likely he's gonna stay strong on that no matter what. And while sometimes that makes sense, a lot of the time it doesn't, and it really hurts the person that he pushes to the side. It also hurts the champion he tries to protect through this booking because fans just don't want to see them anymore. They thought they should have lost then, so he should have picked someone new for them to lose to. And while I loved how Jade Cargill lost to Chris Statlander because I'm a huge Statlander fan, Jade should have lost that belt so many months before she actually did. And it's something we kind of see in AEW still today. They don't strike when the iron is hot, and it leads to a lot of their hot acts quickly falling back down. And by the time TK is willing and ready to give them that big push, they've fallen and just aren't at the level they need to be to get that big push anymore. It just feels like too little too late a lot of the time, and it hurts a lot of guys. That's something you always run the risk of when you're not willing to pivot. There's a reason why the saying, "you only get this hot once," exists in wrestling, because it's hard to get championship material level over. And to capitalize on the momentum that could be building for that championship run, TK has just got to be more willing to stray from the course and go with the hot act. I think that alone would help a lot in AEW, and while I have seen improvements in the recent months, I think it could be even better. When it comes to the heel side of the issue, I kind of think it's pretty simple. They all just have to stop being so fucking cool. And I know that kind of sounds dumb, but it's honestly true. Why would fans ever want to boo Swerve Strickland when he walks to the ring looking like this? Why would fans want to boo him when he comes to the ring with Nana, who does a dance that everyone wants to do? Heels should be smarmy, they should be arrogant, they should disrespect sports teams now and again. Those things are tried and true classics, but they're classics for a reason. Now, this is not me saying do classic heel work like the House of Torture heel work, because that sucks. But do more things like break into the babyface's house and threaten his infant child. That's the extreme of it all, of course it is, but creative things like that work when they're followed up on. But that's the key, you have to continue to do things that fans will boo them for. And not just that, heels have to be able to turn the heat on them into sympathy for the babyface. In the Don Callis family feud, the absolute mess that was, the heat on Don never went over to any other family member. And it most certainly didn't make anyone they went up against hotter as a babyface. So it was unsuccessful as a heel group and didn't accomplish what a heel should always be trying to do. In contrast, you have Christian Cage, who does this exact thing perfectly. He's an irredeemable piece of shit. He walks around like he's hot shit and talks about people's dead dads all the time in pretty much every feud he's in. But he's always cowering behind the patriarchy because fans don't want to root for a coward. And then through that, you create scenarios like the one we saw at Revolution against Daniel Garcia, where the fans got fully behind Daniel. Fans want to see shithead heels get their comeuppance, and that's the way it should always be, because then you create baby faces that fans get behind no matter what, just so they can see them finally get revenge on the heels. Moving on though, I don't want this video to be full of criticism because it's not all bad, not in the slightest. There's plenty of examples of AEW booking both baby faces and heels correctly. To name a few faces, Eddie Kingston, who is probably the best example being the King of the Bums. Daniel Garcia's post-Continental Classic run has really heated him up into a young guy fans can really get behind. And honestly, Hook, going into this new year, especially for that Joe match, which I thought was one of the best of the whole year so far. On the heel side, of course I'd say Christian Cage for all the reasons I mentioned before, our EVPs, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, and on the ROH side, Athena, no doubt. Even though she's not really a heel, she still does heel stuff and acts in a heel way, so I'll accept it for now. I'm not going to go into depth about why all these acts are so great, but they do deserve a shout out because they are examples of just successful booking, and that should be shown a light on. I'd also like to shout out what AEW has done with Will Ospreay. So many people, including myself, were worried that they do the wrong thing and make him a heel on arrival. But they did exactly what they were supposed to do, and now he's got the potential to be maybe the face of the promotion, akin to Hangman Page like I mentioned before, through that infectious energy he gives off and his otherworldly in-ring performances. Some of the same things go with Kazuchika Okada, who debuted this week on Dynamite. Sure, we're not even a week into his run, I understand that, but the role that they put him in perfectly suits him as a character, and I think they deserve credit for that. One last thing I want to show love to is the way they've handled Hangman Adam Page's heel turn. Going from the guy I mentioned before, the face of the promotion, the babyface for everyone to root for, to a heel who has probably the best motives and is the most believable in pro wrestling right now. A man broke into his house, threatened his child, hung him with a chain, and then still got cheered over Hangman. That cowboy has every right to be angry, he has every right to be resentful towards the fans, and this slow descent into madness they've shown on TV has been truly masterful storytelling. It seems like Hangman and masterful storytelling just kind of go hand in hand. Finally, what's the solution to this babyface heel problem that AEW has? I think it just comes down to each wrestler being defined one way or the other. I don't mind a good tweener character, but there's just so many of those guys in AEW right now. The best example is the group I mentioned at the top of this video, the Blackpool Combat Club, who consists of 3 guys who flip-flop and 1 little shithead. I don't think that flip-flopping really works to maximize what this group should be given the star power here, because all of the group's actions just feel so random. Why are they attacking guys from behind 1 week and then fighting as the heart and soul of AEW against the evil CMLL invaders the next? That's just way too much whiplash to handle week to week. I'm still someone who enjoys the BCC because they're made up of some fucking awesome wrestlers I love, but I would definitely love them more if they just got defined and focused on building their stories and feuds around what that definition was, whether it's a heel or a face. Another solution I think kind of pairs with that as well is just defining guys correctly. I mentioned Ospreay and Okada being perfect examples of AEW picking correctly because their roles fit their strengths as wrestlers, but then you look at 2 other people I mentioned earlier, Toni Storm and Deonna Purrazzo, and it's the complete opposite. Both of the roles they got slotted into just go against what their characters should be completely. And that just doesn't work in making them more over as a face or a heel because the fans are just confused. It's kind of something I worry about with someone who will be coming in this week on Dynamite, Mercedes Moné. She should be a heel. It's what she's best at. But AEW might just make her a face because she'll be over everywhere she goes. And while I completely understand doing that at the start because she absolutely will be getting cheered everywhere she goes, I beg TK not to do that long term. That woman is a heel through and through and should be portrayed as so, and anything else just kind of doesn't work for me. So that's what I'd do. I would just define characters more explicitly and define them correctly. I think that simple thing would go a long way in making this heel and babyface problem not so much of a problem anymore. To wrap this up though, I want to pose a question to all of you, one that I'm going to answer too. Who should the next face of AEW be? The 2024 version of Hangman Adam Page? Leave your picks in the comments down below, but my pick is a completely outside choice that nobody ever would have guessed. If you watch my videos at all, you could never guess this even if you did. I'm gonna go with the aerial assassin Will Ospreay. I get some people might, accuse me of being biased, but I'm clearly not biased. There's nothing about me right now that would give away that I'm biased, but honestly, I truly just think he embodies everything AEW wants to be, and judging by early reactions to his promo and his matches, I think that people can't help but love him. He is just the spirit of this new era, and I think if you were to crown him as champion sooner rather than later, I think that would go a long way in building up a new top star. I mean, think about it, Wembley Stadium, it's coming up. And that just kind of feels right, doesn't it? I say maybe we do Swerve Hangman main event Wembley. Who says no? Who says no to that? Not me. I would not at all. But with that being said, that's going to do it for today's video, everyone. Make sure to leave a like on the video and comment down below who your pick for the new face of AEW would be, alongside anything else you might want to comment on, unless you're one of those WWE stans who keeps coming in my comments and calling me a mark, because it's just being weird. Just stop doing that. And also subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 500 and we're going to get there sooner rather than later. Hit that sub button. Thank you all so much for watching. It's been Novi. Much love always. Peace.